The Schedules folder contains the interactive schedules created as part of the project documentation that will serve as a basis for ordering doors, windows, and other construction elements, and for checking the consistency of elements. With ARCHICAD's interactive schedules, we can not only display quantities and other parameters, we can actually edit them. This makes it possible for us to find and correct some inconsistencies resulting from data entry error or from the merging of work of several people on different parts of the same project. For example, we can find and detect all but one of 30 or 40 doors placed in the building have the same height and width, and then we can actually edit that door from the schedule and it will be updated on the floor plan and in the other views. There's two categories of interactive schedules, the element lists and the component lists. We can access our schedules through Document, Schedules and List, Schedules. So let's take a look at the out-of-the-box NCS window schedule. And as you can see here, we have a list of our windows on this project. The width, the height, the type, the material, and any notes that we may want to include regarding that particular window. By clicking on the line, we can edit these windows. For instance, here we've got several window 1s with different sizes. We can edit these and change the ID mark. We'll make that window 2. We'll make that window 3 and 12. Now when we go back to our floor plan, we'll have our different size windows. Their IDs will automatically be changed and be in a logical order. If we'd like, we can also go in here and change the height from a drop-down list. The width and the height. Drop-down list for this particular window, standard window. We can also put our cursor here and type in a different height for a custom width or height. We can also change our materials. This will bring up our standard material list. And again, we can put our cursor here and add any additional notes on our window schedule. The window schedule can be adjusted. We can adjust the rows and the columns, similar to an Excel spreadsheet. We can go into scheme settings. If we go down here to available parameters and open this box, we can add or remove different parameters from our window schedule. For windows and doors, we can drag and drop our 2D symbol into the schedule field, and if we select OK, the schedule will be updated. We can go up here and record by columns or rows. We can select to show uniform items as a single entry or uncheck that, and then each item is shown separately. In this case, we've got window 4, many window 4s, but we can consolidate the whole thing by showing these items as a single entry. We can select whether our format options apply to the entire schedule, header, value, total, grand total, or the picture. We can select our font, the encoding, the row height, the text height. We can select our font pen. We can select whether the cell borders have no borders, separators only, or all borders. And we have some options here for footer settings. We can add the date, time, page number, page X or Y, project file name, and again some parameters regarding fonts, etc. for that. If I want to adjust the order in which things are placed, if I want to say have our height before our width. We'll put our cursor here, grab this, and we'll just slide it up into that position and select OK. And now our height is above our width. If I add our library part name and we want a quantity, we can click here until we get the sigma 1. And if we want the subtotal, we click in that box right there, and that'll give us the subtotal for the windows on each floor. We'll click OK. Now you can see we've got W single hung 10. We've got 2 of them. We've got one that's 5 foot by 2.6. We have one of those. So our quantities for each one of those windows are shown. And when we get down here, we find a column with the total of all the windows, 30 windows. Let's go back to record by rows. And again, you'll see we have a slightly different format. Library part name with the quantity and the subtotal down here. Here we can see that recorded by rows, our picture size is a little too large. We can go in here and reduce the picture to fit into the cell. At any time we can go into our scheme settings and adjust these parameters or the order. So a few things I'd like to do here. I'd like to remove this user defined column. I'm going to move the library part name right underneath the ID, and I'm going to put notes and remarks last and click OK. And I'm going to go back to record by rows. Alright, now how do we place this on our layout book? We have a couple of ways of doing that. First is to go into our layout book, and under plans we'll create a new layout. We'll call that window and door schedule. And click create. Now we can go back into our project map and we can right click on the window schedule and click save view and place on layout. That's one way. Another thing we can do is we can go into project chooser, show organizer. And here we can click on the window schedule and drag and drop that onto our layout book. That will create a separate page with the name of the window schedule. And there it is there. Once we have our window schedule selected, we have another option available to us, which is to restructure the table. And that allows us to reformat the table to fit on different size sheets. Alright, let's take a look at placing our door schedule. We'll go back into Show Organizer. Here's our NCS door and frame schedule. We'll bring this over and we'll put that on the window schedule page. Here you notice we have several doors that are at 6'8", and we want to make them all 7 foot. So what we can do is go back into Documents, Schedules, go back to our door and frame schedule. We can copy the 7 and then we can go down and paste that wherever we have a 6'8". Now we've updated all our 6/8 doors to 7/0 doors. I think I'd like to also put a picture of the door in here. So we go into Scheme Settings. And we'll add preview picture. Click OK. Let that update. So now we have preview pictures of all the doors that we've got going into the project. Go back to our layout book. Now we can also resize that. Say we want to make that much larger, we can click down here and make this easier to view. And we can bring this, say, out to about here. But at this size it won't fit on the page. We can restructure this table. Click on a node and we go to this icon here, Restructure. And now we can bring this down here and we'll move the window schedule out of the way. Now you can see that we've split the table in two and made it larger and easier to view. So in review, working with the window schedule and the door frame schedule are essentially the same. Both can be edited, and through the editing process your plan will be automatically updated. If you go back to the plan and edit on the plan, the window schedule is placed on your layout book will also automatically update and reflect any changes that are placed on the plan. For large schedules that won't fit on the page, we can restructure the table to make them fit or give you a better view. And this is just part of the automatic documentation process for ARCHICAD that makes life real easy. Alright, while we're on the subjects of window and door schedules, let's see how we can work with windows and doors on the plan. With our door tool selected, if we click Control A and select all the doors on the project, and then right click up on our mouse and bring up door selection settings, and we go into dimension marker, as you can see we have several dimension markers that we can work with. So let's pick our basic window, or let's pick our door marker and select OK. Now you'll notice on our doors we've got this kind of door marker. This gives us the ID, the width and the height, and the sill height. Or we can go back into door selections, door marker, and go into basic window door marker, which will give us another way to mark the doors on the plan. If we go back into door selection settings, we can go to listing and labeling and click on label door. Then if we go into our document section of the toolbox and click on labels and Control A, we can pick up all of those labels. Right click to bring up our context menu and click on label selection settings. Up here you see we have an option on the label to either place text, an ID, a unique ID, and some other options. And we can click on ID, select OK, and that will automatically put our door IDs into the label box automatically. These can be individually adjusted using our pet palette. We pick stretch, come move these around any way we like. Go back into label selection settings, go to label window marker 12, select OK. Again, you see we have many different options available to us for making notes regarding the doors, windows, labels, etc. Let's undo that. And of course, if we'd like, we can set up a layer combination, which I have here on the flyout. You can't see, but it's windows and doors, and that can be dropped into a separate page on our layout book. And that's a nice way to work with all your windows, doors, labeling, etc. You can put this on a plan on our layout book and also include our schedule, and that makes it very easy for our builders and contractors to figure out what's going on with our plan regarding windows and doors.